Hello everyone, this is lesson 3 and 4. Standard form, recall. Standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus b, which tells us only the y-intercept. Finding the y-intercept, example. Y equals x, 7x squared plus 2x minus 5. We need to let x equal 0. First step, rewrite the equation and substitute wherever you see an x, 0. Y equals 7, 0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 5. 0 squared gave us 0, and 7 times 0 gives you 0. 2 times 0 gives you 0, and all you're left with is y equals negative 5. Therefore, your y-intercept is negative 5. What's an easier way to find the y-intercept? It is just the c value itself. So just looking at the equation, c is the y-intercept. Now we try. Okay, find the y-intercept in standard form. The y-intercept is the c value, so the y-intercept is negative 15. B, your y-intercept is 4. C, your y-intercept is negative 8. Factored form, they tell you the x-intercepts. Steps. To change the equation from standard form to factored form, we do this by factoring. Remember, we always try common factoring first, and then we try simple factoring, simple trinomial factoring, or difference of squares. Next, we set y equal to 0, and we solve for x. Examples. Find the zeros of the equations. So we need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 33 and add to negative 8. You can do this with the chart along the side of your page for finding them. You will notice that you will find that negative 11 and positive 3 multiply to 33 and add to negative 8. So we place our two brackets with x's in front and the two numbers inside. The next step is to let y equal 0 and solve for each bracket by setting them equal to 0. We see that we get x equals 11 and x equals negative 3. Therefore, the zeros are 11 and negative 3. B, y equals 2x squared plus 6x minus 80. Our first step is to common factor. I notice I can remove 2 from every term. So I begin by y equals 2, bracket, 2x squared divided by 2 gave me x squared. 6x divided by 2 gave me 3x. Negative 80 divided by 2 gives me negative 40. I can now factor this simple trinomial by finding two numbers that multiply to negative 40 and add to positive 3. The two numbers are positive 10 and negative 4. Again, you can use your t-chart along the side of your page to help you find this. And review lessons from Unit 4 on how to factor a simple trinomial. Next, you set the y to be 0 and you solve each bracket by setting them equal to 0. X plus 10 equals 0 and x minus 4 equals 0. Therefore, x equals negative 10 and x equals 4. So therefore, the zeros are negative 10 and positive 4. My last one, y equals 3x squared minus 48. I notice I can common factor a 3 out of both terms. So I've common factored with the 3. And I begin my factorization. 3x squared divided by 3 gives you x squared. Negative 48 divided by 3 gives you negative 4. I now notice I have a difference of squares. So then I place my 3 in my next line with my brackets. X is in front because x times x gave you x squared. And 2 times 2 gives you 4. So I place 2 at the end of each bracket with a negative and a positive in each. Next, you set y to be 0. Then you solve each bracket equaling 0. X minus 2 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. X equals 2, x equals negative 2. Therefore, the zeros are 2 and negative 2. Examples. Complete all the information in the table for the following equations and graph. Y equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. The y-intercept. 1. Steps to find the key feature. Look for the c value. Your c value is 3. So therefore, your y-intercept is 3. Your zeros. Step 1. You need to factor. Look for a common factor first. Set each factor equal to 0 and then solve for x. So I need to find two numbers that multiply to 3 and add to negative 4. In this case, that's easy. The two numbers are only 1 and 3. Both need to be negative to add to negative 4. So my bracket is x minus 1, x minus 3. Setting y equal to the 0 in the next step, I can then break apart each bracket equaling 0. X minus 1 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. Solving for x equals 1, x equals 3. Therefore, the x-intercepts are 1 and 3. Your axis of symmetry. Your axis of symmetry, remember, it divides the graph in half. What you do is you add the x-intercepts together and divide by 2. That will give you your halfway mark. So my x-intercepts were 1 and 3, so I add 1 plus 3 and I divide by 2. 1 plus 3 gave you 4, divided by 2 gave you 2. So the AOS, your axis of symmetry, is x equals 2. So to help you remember, to get the axis of symmetry, it's like you're taking the average of your x-intercepts to find the center. Your vertex. You're going to substitute the x value that you just got from your axis of symmetry into your equation to get the y value. So let x equal 2 into your standard form equation and sub wherever you see x, you're going to sub 2. So therefore, I got y equals 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 3. Y equals 2 squared gave me 4. Negative 4 times 2 gave me negative 8 plus 3. Y equals negative 4 plus 3. Y equals negative 1. So therefore, your vertex is x, which should be 2, comma, negative 1. There was an error on the page that I just corrected. 2, comma, negative 1. Direction of opening. Opens up if the A value is positive. It's going to open down if the A is negative. Okay, so in this case, my A is positive, so therefore it opens up. Is it a min or a max? Determine if it's a min. A maximum value opens down, and minimum value if opens up. Okay, so since we have a parabola that's opening up, we know we have a minimum value, and it occurs at y equals negative 1. This is a quick sketch of the parabola that from the information above that we have. I plotted my y-intercept. I then plotted my x-intercept. I then plotted my vertex at 2, negative 1. And I put my axis of symmetry as a dotted line. I then connected my points that I had with a smooth curve and arrows on the end. Let's try it 2 more times. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 8. My y-intercept, again, is your c value, is 8. My zeros, I need to factor. So my first step is common factoring. I can remove negative 2. So I removed negative 2 and I began my common factoring. Negative 2x squared divided by negative 2 gave me x squared. 8 divided by negative 2 gave me negative 4. I now notice that I have a difference of squares. So I keep the negative 2 on the outside and I started my brackets. X times x gave me x squared. 2 times 2 gave me 4, placing a negative and a positive in each of the brackets. I can now get my zeros of x equals 2 and x equals negative 2. To get my axis of symmetry, I need to take the average of these two x-intercepts. So I have to add them together and divide by 2. So 2 plus negative 2 divided by 2 gives you 0 divided by 2, which just gives you 0. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 0 as an equation. For my vertex, you need to sub in the x equals 0 into your equation for x and solve for y. So from the standard form, let x equal 0. Y equals negative 2 in brackets 0 squared plus 8. Well, 0 times negative 2 just gives you 0 plus 8. So therefore, your y-intercept is 8. So 0, 8 would be your vertex. Direction of opening is down. And the reason why it's down is because there's a negative on the very outside of the parabola. Since it's opening down, we know we have a maximum value of 8. And that is y equals 8. To graph what we have a y-intercept of 8. Our vertex is 0, 8. And our x-intercepts are negative 2 and 2. And I connected these with a smooth curve and arrows on the end. For my last example, y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. Our y-intercept is negative 6. Our zeros, I have to common factor first, so I took out a 2, and I started my bracket. 2x squared divided by 2 gave me x squared. Negative 4x divided by 2 gave me negative 2x. Negative 6 divided by 2 gave me negative 3. I now have a simple trinomial, and I need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 3 and add to negative 2. My choices are 1 and 3. Negative 3 and positive 1 add to negative 2. So I've added those into my bracket. I then solved for x. X equals positive 3, x equals negative 1. My axis of symmetry is taking these two numbers and taking the average between them. 3 plus the negative 1 divided by 2 is 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So therefore, my AOS is x equals 1. Your vertex, you sub in your AOS into your standard form and you solve for y. So I have y equals 2 times 1 squared minus 4 times 1 minus 6. Y equals 2 minus 4 minus 6. Y equals negative 8. So therefore, your vertex is 1, negative 8. The direction of opening of the parabola is up because your a value is positive. It has a minimum value because it's opening up. Your minimum value is y equals negative 8. We can now plot what we have. Y-intercept of negative 6, our x-intercepts of negative 1 and 3, and our vertex, which is 1, negative 8. And then you can join your parabola with a smooth curve. And you're done. That is it for lesson 3 and 4.